we believe that worshiping God in the splendor of holiness is a fruitful task. And so if you want to do something in the splendor of holiness, that means your songs and your skills will be set apart. They'll be elevated for the purpose of enlarging your heart and your soul, so that your home and your church and your community are more rich because of your ability to harness this heavenly language of music. So that's what we believe. So if someone believes that same thing and realize, oh, music is a language, so it should be taught as a language. And yes, we are instruments, so of course there's going to be voice and instrument training happening at the same time. They're going to love BMAs. And it's not just a frivolous thing, this is a significant thing. You're going to be doing this when you have dementia one day, right? When you have, lost your body and nearly your mind towards the end of your life, but you'll always have the Psalms and you always have music. And then when you pass on from this life to the next, we know we'll be doing it in heaven. So start enjoying it now, start participating now. Don't wait, don't waste your life and then do the glory. Just start living the good life now.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Feminine Glory podcast. I am one of your hosts, Lydia Edmonds, and I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Esther Edmonds.
Hello, everyone.
And we have a very special guest on the podcast today to talk about a very fun and important subject, so let's jump right into it.
Yes, so today we have on the podcast Mr. Sean Bohnet. He is husband to Rachel Bohnet, whom we've had on. I think she was one of the first guests on our podcast, so go on and check that out if you've never seen that one. He is also a father and the owner and founder of Bohnet Music Academy, and we are honored to have him on the podcast today. So Mr. Bohnet, welcome, and thank you so much for coming on.
I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Is there anything else that we missed? Do you want to add anything about yourself?
I have crowd surfed before, and that's just always good for people to know.
Absolutely, yeah, very important.
That's great.
So we did talk about this with your wife a bit for those who tuned into that episode, but what made you want to start Bohnet Music Academy, and what has been your favorite part of running that thus far?
Well, I think like anybody, you're just looking to have a good time, enjoy life. And so I thought, man, what a funner way to live than, get to sing and play all day and do that with others and not just be a loser in my basement. That's like grand scheme, you want to be successful, you want to enjoy what you do. So I would say that's how I would put it in those terms. But I've been very blessed by all that I've learned and got to do musically, and also have become very opinionated about that. So I'm a very opinionated and picky person, but always with a smile and open to reason. And so when I've experienced music education or musical situations and just customer service in general, you come to see areas in which you think, man, I could really build and serve there, right? Like if you're in a church and you're trying to figure out, what should I do? Well, what are the things that you notice? Where are the areas do you think could be improved, right? Not even a negative improvement. Well, instead of complaining, do something about it. Anytime I'm a music director and teaching elder at my church, and anytime someone comes up to me with an idea or a suggestion, I said, oh man, that's a great idea. When would you like to start leading on that and, helping with that, right?
That's great.
You always need to be taking responsibility. And so anyways, all that to say, I wanted to see music education happen in a way that is very joyful and approachable, because we live in a musical desert. We live in a time where people walk around with probably a 2-ton amount of musical lies that they just like to swim in and drink up. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a lot of work to be done there to undo that and to build up the skill of music.
I think that's fantastic. And honestly, going back to, we've talked about this on the podcast before, I love that how you lead in that way, where if you see a need, then you have an obligation to fill that need, because that's part of the Christian duty, is if you take dominion and fulfill the earth and to glorify it. So if you see something that you could glorify, then glorify it.
Get it done. What you waiting for?
Absolutely.
So how many instruments do you play, and do you have a favorite instrument?
I keep up with 4, so voice, piano, trumpet and guitar.
Okay.
And the cool thing is, by the way, that's actually not crazy. It's very normal for everyone to sing and play 3 instruments. So essentially what I just listed out. So most people are like, oh, that's not that impressive. Some people are like, that's crazy. I can't even imagine that. Well, if you train yourself musically from an early age, that's actually very common and not that impressive.
Oh, okay.
So, just doing a little vision casting for you.
No, that's great.
Yeah, and I think singing or voice is my favorite instrument, the favorite thing to do, because it is the most important instrument. Newsflash, little secret of the world that no one's telling you. We are primarily instruments. You ask people, this would be, if you're looking for a good time around the table for conversation, you can say, what's your favorite, or, what's the most important instrument, or what instrument should kids learn first? Find you a fun way to frame that. People will probably say piano. Well, piano is the most important instrument. It shows you everything. And they're right in that it's the most important dead instrument. Guitar's dead. Piano's dead. It doesn't live and breathe, but we live and breathe. And it's not just our voice, but we ourselves. When you look at a piano, you say, that's an instrument, right? What is this? It's an instrument. But we are primarily instruments ourselves. And so when you get to play the instrument of your life, you get to sing and harmonize with others, making beautiful sounds, moving and walking in song together. It's pretty electric.
Yeah. So in light of that, what is your response then to people who say, well, I just can't sing?
And I say, yes, you can. Or I might call them liars, or I might ask if they're actually Christians. One of the following. But it's always with a smile.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what about this one? What about I've been guilty of saying this one before, and my brother Elijah actually corrected me on this one. But
A well-trained man.
it says yes. It says to make a joyful noise, not to actually you're not actually supposed to, not everyone's obligated to be really good at singing. It just says make a joyful noise. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I would say it also says make it skillful. Do it skillfully too. Psalm 33, Psalm 66.
Yeah.
And it's I'm all for going there. For instance, I am wild, and I am wild about music, but I'm not that wild. There is some reason here. Sometimes people will think that if you don't sing the right music, you're going to go to hell. And that's typically not what we're talking about. We're talking about building, and we're talking about maturity, and we're talking about glory. We might be talking about salvation depending on how stubborn you are, but usually not talking about that.
Yeah.
So for instance, if someone's like, well, I mean, you do have to grant that the Bible says skillfully too, and that calls us to do all things to the glory of God. So I'm just wondering why you want to be lazy with one of the most fundamental parts of your identity and one of the most primary and ordinary ways we worship the Lord, which, by the way, is one of the most important things that we do every week and in every moment. And so I'm wondering why you want to say, because really when someone says that, they're just trying to excuse themselves. And that's why I get wild at them and say, what's wrong with you? Because it's it says we just have to love one another. It doesn't say anything about we have to read the Bible, right? Kind of not really, maybe you can kind of get away with that, but why are you trying to slip out of what you should be doing?
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you and some of the BMA students recently got back from a trip to Europe. So what was the purpose of said trip, and what was your biggest takeaway?
Yes. Well, yeah, we just went to Europe for 9 days. We blitzed through 4 countries, 5 cities, and the mission of the trip was to instill a greater love and understanding for the West, for the church, for classical music. All of those things are glorious things. They're part of our heritage. And unfortunately, they're things that, on one hand, we don't study or sit next to, not close proximity. It's not furniture in our lives, let's say. But they're some of the best things about who we are and what makes us us. But it's also primarily the heart of it's over in Europe, right? When you think about beautiful architecture and rich classical music and wonderful ideas, well, the depth of that is in Europe, where we've had Christian kings back from the 900s and 1000s. So I wanted to go to a place where we could take our people and say, look how God has established his church and established his culture, and how that's output itself into music. And it's not all a bright and shining past, but man, it is just laced with glory, right? Just take any man, like everybody you know is not as great as you think they are, the people that you like. But there is so much wisdom and maturity to be gleaned from it, even though they're not Christ himself in its perfection and glory. But we're chasing after, but they're a lot better than you. You know what I'm saying? So to give and live and breathe and put grounds on that, to take people into the room where Mozart first took his breath. That's kind of what it's about. To go to the place, where Haydn was a choir boy, to the church that so many of these great composers were baptized or married or performed. Wow. Where Beethoven first did X, Y, and Z thing. You just think like, oh, that's kind of cool. These people were real.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
So back in 2020, and we talked to your wife about this, you guys were arrested at a psalm sing. So did that put a bigger emphasis for you on your mission and how important music really is?
I think so, because in a situation like that, you gather a potency for the statement and what can then also be the protest of worship, sort of the weapons of our warfare and the things that we turn to advance the gospel of Christ. And when that is opposed for whatever pretense reason, you think, oh, this really does matter, because we're told in scriptures that where we're really battling is not flesh and blood, right? But it's against wickedness in high places, spiritual oppression that manifests itself bodily. But if you want to slap a devil, if you want to wrestle down the spirit that drives men mad, you're going to want to go, you just want to go for the kill, right? Go for the heart of it. And you're going to be doing that in psalms and hymns. So I think you just get a picture of that from that moment. That's made it clear for me that this does matter. The songs you sing and how you sing them and where you sing them and the heart you have when you sing them is very impactful and can do a lot of good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
So when our brother was looking to take piano lessons at BMA, our family thought it was very interesting that he couldn't take piano lessons without also taking voice. So personally, we have heard your reasoning for this and think it absolutely love why that is the case. So would you mind explaining for the audience then why you have set that standard at BMA?
Yeah, so it goes back to what we were discussing earlier, that if you came to me and you said, I really want to learn to play basketball, I said, great, let's learn that. And you're like, yeah, but I don't really run. It's like, oh, that's going to be hard for the game of basketball.
Yeah.
So when people want to come and learn music and they want to play an instrument, I suppose you can do that without singing and developing music literacy with your voice. But shoot, that's going to be kind of tough. And especially when you call me back, when, because most of the time you're putting kids in music lessons right now because you're too important and busy to catch up, even though you suck yourself musically and are just super fat. You think, man, why are we doing this in the first place? Well, it's so that in your weekly rhythms and loving and worshiping the Lord and adoring him through song, guess what you're doing? What instrument you're doing that with? The voice. Now, it's not simply that, because you can honor and glorify the Lord in all things that you do. In fact, you have to. And so it's not voice only, but it's voice first, voice primarily.
Mm-hmm.
And I get so many calls about musical regrets. You're going to have a load of musical regrets when you're 30 and 40. People are like, yeah, I played piano for 10, 12 years. Could play the heck out of it, but I never really learned to read music. Or yeah, really accomplished, but I'm so lacking confidence in my singing. And actually it kind of hurts. And so I really don't play piano anymore because I'm a busy dad and I can't do the main musical thing I have to do. Well, I know that's Elijah's future. And so I'm trying to help a brother out by saying, let's make your life a little easier. It's like when someone comes, when people came to the New World from Germany or France or Italy, this story of the old grandpa in the family who said, you will not speak German at school or in this home, or you're not going to speak Spanish. Right? People come from Mexico because they know it's hard when you don't speak a language. And so if you don't speak the heavenly language, it's kind of hard to get along in life. And so we want them to be able to speak and sing it all right, so that their life is just maybe a little happier.
Yeah. No, that's excellent.
And it helps them, lead in their families if they know if they can only play the piano but then can't sing, then somebody else is singing louder than them and they're not actually leading out for them.
Yeah. And the thing is it's available to everyone. Like everyone can do it. Everyone can do it and do it probably way better than they think they can. So I'll get wild on people and maybe roast them up and play a little too hard of a bad cop, like throw the chair across the room and say, what's wrong with you? Like, yeah, I'll do that a little bit, sometimes it's good for people, but also be the one to say, you can do more than you think you can. And you can do anything you set your mind and heart to, and you can be the best because you really can. People don't realize how capable they are musically. They don't realize they're sitting on a bunch of musical talent. What they instead do is just, talk to me for an hour about how they can't. And then I say, yeah, you're right. Get out of here. Because with that attitude, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Absolutely. So in the Series C, one of the defining features that we love about it is how robust the singing is. And so one of the terms that we all use is worship is warfare. So could you describe what we mean by worship is warfare?
Yes. It relates to what we were talking about in terms of the psalm saying our rest in 2020. When you are singing, you are enchanting the world anew, or reordering the incantations that are buzzing around and making us all who we are and things what they are. Pretty philosophical, if you will.
Yeah.
But to translate, it's good vibes, right? So the world is made up of movement, of vibration. And so when you sing, you are prophesying. When you sing, you're preaching the word. You're declaring truths. It's kind of like people who are into let's say like haunted cosmos, paranormal activity, exorcism, all that stuff. You kind of know like if a demon is ever coming for you, what do? You say like, in the name of Jesus, I expel you, or in the name of Jesus, please go home, or Lord, stop this. But you're calling on the name of Christ, who is the living and true God, and you're declaring what is true, good, and beautiful to him, whether in prayer or in praise, and that pushes back darkness. Right? Again, all of the wildness that you see in the world, that's not flesh simply. That's not just the creature of man inspiring that. It's demons. It's the devil. And the flesh doesn't help. Man is still a creature himself, but it is the spirit, or the way that the mind can become sick by darkness, greater than the darkness that they can do themselves. And so when you sing, you're going to war against that darkness. Well, it lives at a spiritual realm, and so do our songs, because angels sing and because God sings. So worship is warfare because we are pledging allegiance to God, and we are declaring His truth over our lives and the life of everyone around us, and that's a declaration of war. And I didn't have to ask Congress, you know what I'm saying? You just go for it, and
Mm-hmm.
and you know that these are the tools for victory. You know, back up sin, back up devil,
Mm-hmm.
advance Christ, advance church. Well, these are the things that pave the road for that kind of victory and reality.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, in light of that, we're going to dive into some specific examples of the effects on music in individuals or in certain situations. So, we'll get even more specific about music in battle. So, in Scripture, there are several examples where musicians would go out ahead of the army, or after victory, someone would burst forth into song. Why is that the case?
It's the praise reflex. You ever been to a doctor and they hit you with a hammer and you're like, am I at the doctor or medieval torture clinic? Hard to say. But we have certain reflexes or kicks that are within us. And so whenever good happens, whenever victory is granted, what's the first thing you should do?
Sing praises.
Praise the Lord, for He is good, for His steadfast mercy endures forever. Right? This goes back to how central music is in the life of the Christian. How do you give thanks to God? How do you praise Him? How do you rejoice before Him? Well, I mean, you really can do it in a wide array of things. But why be so odd that you don't recognize the most normal way? Singing, praising Him. And so anytime the Lord does something good, the scriptures show that the natural response is praise. How do we praise the Lord? The most normal vehicle for that is song, right? It's like if I wanted to come visit y'all, I could crawl. It'd get me there, right? Like I could do it. But what's the best way to get there? Well, nowadays it's the plane, or maybe there's better technology, right? But you're looking for how can I get there? How can I do the thing in the best way, the most normal way, the most encompassing way? It's song, it's praise. And so then we write chapters of songs in the Bible to demonstrate to, us sweet Christians living in this modern day.
So, moving on now into music and emotions, how can music cause someone to be moved to tears or get chills or to even feel nervous sometimes, depending on, what type of song you're listening to? How can music affect you emotionally like that?
Yeah. Well, music, it rides on the super highway to the heart or the soul. Right. So the inner part, when you think about the inner part of you, the gut, the heart, the mind, if you're, super duper reformed and theological, right? Whatever is the inmost part, your inner parts, right? Your inmost parts. It's there that live your affections, your happiness, your sadness, your nervousness. Well, music, when it enters into the door, your ear canal, that great port, it immediately is ripping right to that location, like faster than the Autobahn. It just rides the superhighway straight to the soul, and that's why. So music has that ability to cut deeper than ordinary language, right? Even like language itself, that's power, right? Because it's all the same thing, right? Even us speaking, we're singing to one another right now, but we're just doing a very short form of singing, right? There's tones, there's rhythm, there's pitch. Like I could talk in such a way and you could get a sense of my meaning and you could get a sense of how I'm doing. That's kind of remarkable, right?
Yeah.
And parents do this all the time to one another, the spouses, the kids, like, hey, what's going on? It's like, well, did I say anything? Did I say anything that indicates something? It's like, no, it's how you said it. It's like, you sound sad. You sound sad. What does that even mean? Well, it's music. You have a discernment for music. And anyway, so I'm getting wild on these question answers, but the main thing is
great.
that it moves us because it is the mover. Like it, boom, hits you right where it counts.
Wow.
So good. So, all right, now this one I find very interesting. Music and prophesying. So I know there are a couple instances in the Bible where we see those two go hand in hand. So could you kind of unpack why that is the case there as well?
Yes. I think a great example to establish that there's an interconnectedness between music and prophesying or declaring how things ought to be or shall be or just are is how when we sing, we're also binding ourselves covenantally, or we're bearing testimony, we're oathing, we're swearing. You see this in Deuteronomy 34, I think it is. The Lord is telling Moses to write a song for the children, that they might not sin against them, right? It's a great memory tool. We learn our ABCs through song, and we also learn the laws of God through song. That's very helpful so that it's within us, you know, in our mind, in our heart, in our innermost parts. But also, it goes on in that chapter to talk about how it is now therefore a sign. It's a witness. So music has oathing powers to it. Just like when you know, and again, because it's connected to speech, it's all kind of the same thing. Everything is music, right? Yeah, says the music guy. So everything is music. So it's just a way to make words land harder and deeper and better, to really ratchet them down. And so I think you kind of see that spelled out in Deuteronomy 34, that so that they might know, right, the memory of music and whatnot, but also so that it's like, it's a witness. You're writing it in the universe, what you believe and what you've just agreed to do. And so then for the prophet, he's going to be writing songs and teaching songs for that same purpose, so that it might be memorized and well known in the head, but also that should you agree to sing this song, if you will, or just receive it, we're shaping how the world is. Like, there's a magic to music. It's casting spells that actually are real and actually change and are telling you about how things are going to be.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is
How do
crazy.
you just kind of bringing it down, I guess, to like an extremely practical level? I know for me, sometimes when you're singing, I can either get wrapped up, okay, like if we do songs with parts, where's the part coming in, and I'm trying to pay attention to that, and so I'll get caught up more in listening to like the piano, for instance, instead of focusing on the words.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's maybe you're not paying as much attention to the parts and you're focusing more on the words. So do you have any wisdom to share on how to strike the balance between like doing your part well, and then also like really paying attention to the words as well?
Yeah, you should start with prayer.
Okay.
And whenever you go into something, Lord, help me do this in the best way possible. Let me glorify you in this. And you know, for instance, you could even be more specific with your prayer. Lord, help me focus on the words and their meaning and apply them to my life. May they be encouragement and wisdom for me. So you should pray, because we have not, because we ask not. So start there. And then build your schedule, your day around music excessively. And I'm not talking about like, actually, I'm not picking the kids up today, I'm going to be singing. Nope, I'm not doing the dishes because I'm going to be singing. No, I'm not changing that diaper, I've got some scales to work on. But you should work it into your day that, yeah, okay, so when I'm doing this, I'm going to try to sing this song. You know what people do? They have calendars and they have planners.
Yeah.
Well, most of what you do, you can sing during, or at least, you know, a lot of it. So when you write down, like, I'm going to work on verses 1 and 2 of this psalm during this 11 o'clock hour, or during the 8 o'clock hour, it's going to be this. It just makes it so much easier, because then you know you're going to do it, or at least you've said you're going to do it. And then those repetitions make you better, right? It's even more practically, as you were saying, asking Lydia, is, you know, it's hard sometimes to focus on the words and the true power and the meaning of all, because I'm focused on the music or what that crazy piano player is doing. And it's because we're babes in music. We need to grow up, get a little bit better at it. It's kind of like when we're talking right now, we're so good at talking and listening or communicating that we're really just focusing on the meaning of it all, the main point. We're not getting caught up in the words per se, because we do it a lot. So if we do that with singing too, the same thing will happen. If you sing a lot, you're gonna be focused on the main thing more often.
Gotcha. That's really helpful.
Do you have favorite playlists to listen to or psalms to listen to help you prepare for Sunday?
Yes, they are the songs that we're going to be doing. So, what we like to do during family worship is sing, every night sing one of the songs that we're going to do. I'll practice them for the coming Lord's Day. So I lead the music at my church, so it behooves me to be prepared on them, especially the words. I get the word game. It's hard to say the right word. There's something about reading words is difficult. And so I like to try to know what's going on.
Is there a favorite resource to help? I know, like, Sing Your Part has been one that's been mentioned. Do you have any other favorite resources if you don't have anybody that plays instruments in your house?
Yeah, so Sing Your Part's good because you can hear instrumentally or AI vocally the music coming your way. And then there's just rich albums and playlists on Spotify, or if you're crazy, Apple Music, to access, right? Psalm collections, and so you can search like American psalmody, or you can search British psalmody or Anglican psalmody. There's way too much good psalms and hymns out there on your streaming service. So you really just have to search and start discovering. You kind of have to geek out a little bit. Just like if someone's trying to get into fantasy football or like football players, I mean, what they kind of do is just start nerding out because they really want and love it. And so just do the same thing. Like just start searching, you know what I mean? Start getting wild.
So one of the things that also we wanted to talk about was music and creation. So one of the things that we noticed is Lewis and Tolkien both have music play such an important role in the origins of their worlds. And so how does that concept relate to the world that we live in today and the music of the spheres? I think you touched on this a little bit earlier.
Ooh, yes. I love big fat questions that are loaded with 5 kinds of beef in them. So starting with the authors, they got their ideas from God. Their concept of creation and how that all worked out and played out, they got from the Lord, because it says God spoke. He used his voice to move everything that was not once here, and to continue to move things that which are here. Well, what's the voice? Well, if you've been listening to this podcast, it's the instrument of the living. So we get our voices from God. He has a voice which is talked about all throughout Scripture in its power, not only to create all things, but also to stir and to shake and to comfort, etc. So God created the world by the power of his word, by the power of his voice. And what are we? What is the voice if not an instrument? What are words and what is speaking if not song and singing? Yes, there is distinction to it, but fundamentally it is the same. And with God, it's always in excess and extreme and living in the eternality of it. So God, like this speaking, using his voice, he was playing an instrument. It was his voice, right? He is the orchestrator. And the words, the song that he used are what moves things. And then you jump into, well, what did he create? Well, we have a focused account of the earth, right? And the 3 layers of it, how he created every aspect of it, and then how he filled every layer out from the sea to the land to the air. But he also filled out the greater cosmos as well, right? All those spinning angels that we see there, all the planets. Well, the planets, they move awfully lot like a string instrument, right? And they're awfully kind of shaped like a string too, right? If you have a guitar and you look down the string, you're looking at a circle, right? A sphere. Even when it plucks, that it kind of goes, people have seen this in some, crazy YouTube video or reel or whatever the short videos that people consume these days. Anyway, so the places in which we have habitation are strings, and they're spinning and they're vibrating, and also because they also spin and move, they are going up and down the fretboard, they're going up and down the keys, and so they're playing songs. And we have a sense of what these songs might be, and there's a sort of constructed melody to them. So God made the world by his voice, which is an instrument, using the means of music, words and speech, probably in an eloquent, right, song, as we know. And then what did he create? He created instruments. The earth is an instrument. You're an instrument. The angels are instruments. The grass, the crickets, the rivers, the rocks. These are all instruments. So when you step back and, you start believing this conspiracy of music, you're like, hey, there's a lot going on here musically. So I don't even remember what the crux of the question was, or like where are they getting all that. I'm just telling you, they're getting it from the Lord.
Yeah, that's basically just talking about the concept, because I don't think we ever heard of this concept of the music of the spheres until we had your wife on, and she mentioned that, and me and Lydia were both like, wait, what? Like, the world is singing? Like, we didn't know that. But there is one thing, because I've heard about this before, but can you talk about a little bit more about the angels spinning? Because I feel like I've heard that before, but
what?
not
the
angels spinning.
Heavenly. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a concept that our globe and the stars that we see, they're heavenly bodies. So they're angelic. You think about, like, we know that life is not just matter, but there's spirit and life behind it all. And so and Lewis was explicit in this, when you look up and you see the twinkling of stars, well, that's not just shining rocks, but those are angelic beings of some kind. To the degree in which we know exactly what they are, we don't know. But when you look out in creation, you're not just, like, when I look at you and you look at me, like, these are living creatures, these are souls, and we know that there's different kinds of bodies, if you will, right? Creatures. You've got humans, and you've got dogs, and you've got angels, and you have archangels, and you have demons, and you have Lucifer, and you have Christ, right? Mm-hmm. And you have the Trinity. So there's all these heavenly bodies, and so we understand that they're represented in our cosmos outside of the earth.
Wow, that's blowing my mind.
It's really cool. Really cool.
It blew my mind.
So, you said in one of your emails, I believe this was around the time of a recital, quote, ideally, we all can be a type A person or a type B person at the right time and place and in the right amount, end quote. So, could you expound upon what you meant when you said this?
I think I can. So, this is probably, I'm a little too wild with analogies because I just stack them on top of each other. This probably relates to a core idea that I have for our staff at BMA and for our students and just for everybody in all of life, that you would be concrete velvet or type A and type B. Okay, so now I've laid out my analogies. Let's unpack them. A type A person, they're really wound tight. They've scheduled, if you go on a road trip with a type A person, they've scheduled every micro turn you're going to make in the wheel as you go down the highway. They've calculated at what degree you're going to speed up to 80 miles per hour or bring it back to 45 when you enter a town. They've calculated the precise steps it's going to take to enter that gas station and the best route in which to go, so that you don't do that thing where you walk into a gas station and who knows where you're at, and you're like trying to find the bathroom, and you're not really asking anybody, but you're just like walking around. Anyway, so type A people, they plan and they're detail oriented. Type B people, they're like, oh, we're going on a trip? Well, I had no idea. That sounds great. Let's go. Right? They're spontaneous. They're typically fun. They go with the flow, like they're easygoing. Mm-hmm. And so ideally, we're type A and B people in the proper mix. So, let's say you're preparing for, let's bring it to music. You're preparing for Sunday worship in which you have to perform. Yeah, by the way, everybody, you have a recital coming up. It's on Sunday. I'll see you there. So when you get there, you kind of want to go into it as a planner, a type A person. What's going to happen? What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? How's it going to go? You've got the game plan. You're a strategist. But then when you show up, chill out, dude. Go with the flow. You've done all the planning. Everything is now outside of your hands. All you have to do is now the doing. The planning is done, and now, yes, the doing. The doing must happen. When you do, it's best now to be flexible and lean on the Lord. So you're type B. Oh, yeah, I made all these plans, but it wasn't so I could control my life as if I could, for instance, right? You don't do these plans so that on Thursday or Sunday you can wake up and be God. No, you do it so that you can serve people and honor the Lord with your plans, right? Because, why are we planning? So that we actually have a spare tire, right? So if a blowout happens, we have a spare tire so that we don't, get burnt down to mercury in the sun, and die of dehydration in the middle of the desert, so that our kids don't die, right? For instance.
Yeah.
Good. It's good to plan.
Yep.
Right? Or yes, bring a blanket because we're driving across Minnesota. If something happens, I'd like to not become a popsicle and then die, right? I don't want to die as a popsicle. So I'm going to bring a blanket. This is why we plan, right? To serve one another. And so when you're there, well, no use freaking out. No use getting wild. You just have to trust and obey. So you have to be a type B person.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
So, out of curiosity, do you have a favorite musician? And then, as a follow-up to that, do you have a favorite song?
Yeah, so I feel like you have to say like Bach, or else someone's gonna come beat you up, or So Bach, I would say. The thing about that question is you're asking me what's my favorite kind of food, and maybe I might say seafood or Chinese food, but then if I eat it all day every day, I might want to change my answer. So
Gotcha.
I think there's a sense in which you can recognize what is the most highest and most excellent and most beautiful. You're going to find that in your classical composers, your Baroque, your Renaissance, your medieval composers. You're going to find just a high degree of creativity. You're going to find a high degree of skill and genius in their work. But if you just play that all day, you might go a little crazy. So I always tell people in questions like these, you always need to say the right answer, like it's some sort of classical music thing. I really love this concerto or this symphony. It's my favorite song. Because you're recognizing, this is the nicest building in town, for instance. Now, do you want to do everything and live in that building all day, every day? No, I mean, sometimes you want to go to In-N-Out or Chick-fil-A and, or get in the pool. Like, the pool is not the greatest part of Moscow, but it sure is at sometimes. So, and that's also a way for me to get out of the question, because those are always really tough for me. But it also then is a way to say that I don't think in those terms often. So
Gotcha.
right now I've been thinking I want to listen to a little bit more like Billy Joel and Roger Miller and their songs.
Okay.
And I have been on a Mozart kick recently, like listening to a lot of his opera work, because we were just in Salzburg and Vienna, so I'm on Mozart right
Awesome.
That's great.
So, our family has personally greatly benefited from the work that you are doing at BMA. So, before we close, could you give us your why BMA pitch?
Yes, I certainly can. I thought you could. Well, I think all of this is why BMA, because it's right. We want people to have a personal and significant and excellent experience at BMA, and music is personal. It is significant. It is excellent. But that aside, we believe that worshiping God in the splendor of holiness is a fruitful task. And so if you want to do something in the splendor of holiness, that means your songs and your skills will be set apart. They'll be elevated for the purpose of enlarging your heart and your soul, so that your home and your church and your community are more rich because of your ability to harness this heavenly language of music. So that's what we believe. So if someone believes that same thing and realize, oh, music is a language, so it should be taught as a language. And yes, we are instruments, so of course there's going to be voice and instrument training happening at the same time. They're going to love BMA. So, BMA is not for everybody, but they are for people who think, I need to play the game of catch up, or music is core, and I want to partner with people who share that same conviction, push that same conviction, train it in my children, both like principally, but also the method of we love what we're doing. And it's not just a frivolous thing. This is a significant thing. You're going to be doing this when you have dementia one day, right? It's going to be hard for you to pull up your pants and play soccer or football when you have, lost your body and nearly your mind towards the end of your life, but you'll always have the Psalms and you always have music. And then when you pass on from this life to the next, we know we'll be doing it in heaven. So start enjoying it now, start participating now. Don't wait, don't waste your life and then do the glory. Just start living the good life now.
Oh, that's great.
So we
Great
give
sales
people the
pitch.
good life.
Very good. Fantastic. Well, Mr. Bohnet, thank you so much for coming on. It was an honor to have you. And so thank you very much.
Yes.
It was an honor to be here. Thank you guys so much.
And until next time, ladies, keep pursuing feminine glory, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Feminine Glory Podcast. Bye, guys.
Bye.